Everything is purple! Why? Cut the purple! You know some devilish stuff's gonna go down when the whole room is bathed in purple, right? Absolutely. Okay, hey everybody, how you doing? Tekking101 here. It's been a while since I've busted out the old Black Clover mantle. You can see it's very wrinkly since the last time I wore it. But, hey, I figure right about now is probably the best time to talk about Black Clover, considering we just had the end of a pretty major arc in the story, and we're about to kick off the final arc, the final saga, whatever you want to call it. Although I guess I shouldn't say we're right about to, because Tabata is taking a 3-month hiatus on the series, which is insane, but also really good, just for the sake of, like, and I think more mangakas should do this, or should be allowed to do this, whatever their circumstances, because it's like, okay, you have this amazing story, and you've been writing it for years, and you decide to go into the final saga. I think it's appropriate that you take some time off and sort of recuperate, not just to sit down and write the whole thing, but just for taking time off and relaxing and spending time with your family and stuff like that, and also kind of like reset everything and kind of look back at the series that you've created and try to make the last arc as best as it can be, okay? And I gotta say, in terms of setup for this, I'm really excited. There's a lot of different angles you can take with this. First and foremost, the main goal of Asta, you know, the main character, as well as Yuno, is to become the Wizard King. And that was something that was always sort of in the back of my mind, like, okay, how is this going to go down? Are we going to do this in, like, a Naruto-esque way, where, you know, Naruto is probably not going to become the Hokage at the end of the series, like, at the very end of his, like, final battle, because Naruto was, like, 17 at the time. It's probably going to be, like, a flash forward into the future, like an epilogue, which is what it was. So, like, you know, Tsunade was the 5th Hokage, then Kakashi becomes the 6th, and it isn't until years and years later when Naruto properly becomes the 7th. So I'm like, okay, that's one direction you could take it. Or the other direction, which is the thing I was sort of going with, Julius was going to die. And this was something that was already teased earlier on in the story when he fought against, well, I guess we thought it was leaked at the time, but it was really Patry at the time. And so that ended, and it's like, oh no, Julius is dead. Well, I mean, hey, Asta, you wanted to be the Wizard King, right? Well, there's a vacancy now. Then he shows up and he's like, no, I used my time magic. I stored up a bunch of time in the background, so I'm still alive. I'm just, you know, heavily weakened and a lot younger than I originally was. And it's like, oh, okay. So he's still there in the background, and that also helps set up the Spade Kingdom arc. It's like, okay, the Clover Kingdom is now weakened because of Julius's state, and he can't use his time magic, you know. It was really sad when he had, like, that whole grimoire full of, like, spinning pages, and it's like, oh, I only have one sheet of paper now. Like, that's all I got left in my time magic reserves. And I'm like, oh, no, that's not good. So I thought, like, okay, he's weakened now. You know, we're getting into this huge fight with devils, and we even saw that brief chapter where Julius actually fought against that giant, like, monster, and he, like, aged himself up a little bit, and he was about to fight it, and then it didn't last very long, and it's like, oh no, here it comes! And it's like, oh no, okay, he's still alive, he's still alive. But I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't expecting this. I don't know if anybody was. If you were, congratulations, you win a cookie. A clover-shaped cookie. Go get yourself one. Or no, a spade-shaped cookie, I guess would be more appropriate there. All right, so last chapter. This will be chapter 331. Everybody's, it's all wrapped up. Everything seems to be good. Lucifero has been defeated. That other devil whose name I cannot pronounce, Adramalaka, ripped out his heart and ran away. So that's a problem, you know. It's like, okay, well, we're probably gonna deal with that later. Not an issue right now. That devil probably just wants to, like, eat Lucifer's heart to become the next Lucifer. Certainly we're going to have to deal with that later, but for right now, everybody's relatively okay, I guess. You know, Asta's talking with Lieb, and is just like, hey, I think we're gonna be good now. I just have to make sure to prove it to, like, everybody in the Clover Kingdom. And they mention Damnatio. I suck probably the most with pronouncing Black Clover character names than any other series I talk about. I don't know why it is, but it just is. So we cut back to him, and he's there with Julius. And it's like, okay, at the end of the day, by the way, I get the impression this guy he's a hard ass, and he doesn't like to give any sort of, like, leniency to anybody. He's a guy, like, his ability is literally scale magic. His power is literally like, this is justice in its purest form. It's like absolute justice kind of dude. Sort of like a Kainu from One Piece. You know, he's that kind of guy, okay? So he's an asshole, but at the same time, he's not evil, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it was like Tabata was setting it up like he's gonna be like evil or something. I never really got that vibe off the dude. I just got it as just like, he's never going to accept Asta for having a devil. He's never going to accept devil's existence, period. He does not view like good devils, bad devils, like they're all evil and need to be purged. That's his basic deal, okay? And I don't think we've gotten a backstory for Damnatio yet. We might have, because I'll admit I have not been reading Black Clover super intently, so I might have missed something along the way, but I don't think we've got a backstory for this character yet, so we might in the future, and we'll find out like what happened with him and everything like that. But he approaches Julius after everything is sort of wrapped up, and Julius is in his office, and he's like, okay, everything is sort of wrapped up nice and tidy, you know, relatively speaking, considering we almost had the end of the world there. And, like, Lucifer, Satan, as we find out in this chapter, the other name for Lucifero was Satan. So it's like, okay, yeah, we almost dealt with this guy. He almost killed everybody, but I guess we're all right. But Julius cannot, you know, shake an uneasy feeling that he's had for a long time now. And he remembers back at that moment when he used that spell to, like, because time magic is so interesting. Because it's like, okay, he almost died, but he was able to use stored up time magic to come back, although he's a lot younger, so he's not as strong, but he still does have time magic, weakened time magic, but it's still time magic. I should still be able to, like, momentarily age myself up in order to fight at a level that could be comparable before, you know, it ends. And so he tried to use that, but it didn't last nearly as long as he expected it to, and it's just had this really uneasy feeling, and I really like the way that this happens, where Damnatio lays all of the documents down. He's just like, okay, so, I've been researching devils, like, a lot the past few days. Like, I haven't slept. I've just been doing research. So, I got some information here that might be a big deal. I don't know if it's a big deal, but it's just a little weird, okay? And by the way, all the while this is going on, while Damnatio is explaining this to Julius, like what his hypothesis is, Julius is like thinking to himself, like, oh, please, God, no. Don't tell me it's what I think it is, okay? So Damnatio places a bunch of, like, documents down on the table, and he's like, look, I've been going back, like, these documents are over 20 years old. I've been researching this, everything we know about the tree of Qliphoth, okay? And the three great devils that rule, purportedly, the entire underworld. Okay, so first of all, we got Lucifero, also known as Satan, so we get his other name, Satan. Gravity magic, we're very well familiar with him at this point. Then we have Beelzebub, which, by the way, I'm just happy Beelzebub is part of Black Clover, because it's just the fun name to say. Beelzebub! Yes, Beelzebub. So we got Beelzebub, of course, and he was the one possessing Xenon, and of course that is spatial magic that he's got, okay? And Lucifero was Dante, and he had gravity magic, okay? So, then, here's where it gets interesting. He's been doing all this research trying to find something about Megicula, whatever, and can't find her mentioned anywhere in the documents. Like, the third devil that rules the underworld is actually not Megicula, it's actually Astaroth, which that's another word I'm really happy exists in Black Clover. Astaroth! Okay. God of the devil of time magic. Alright, so we got gravity, space, and time. Or time, space, gravity, I guess, whatever, okay? And Megicula's not mentioned anywhere. So Damnatio comes to a hypothesis of, like, what if something happened to Astaroth? What if he was killed? Or what if he left? Or something else happened? We do not know. And then Megicula took his spots. All right? So, at this point, Julius begins to sweat and is like, oh no, this is going where I think it's going, isn't it? And Damnatio goes on to say, he's like, well, Astaroth is the devil of time magic, according to all my records. And I'm just saying this as maybe it's just a coincidence. And Julius is like, oh, God, no. Shit. It's like, Damnacio's like, the only other person in all of recorded history to have time magic. Shit. It's just like, is you. I'm like, damn it. So Julius comes to a realization. You definitely, from the expression on his face and like the bags under his eyes, you realize, okay, he had no idea what was going on here, okay? So at this point, he realizes what has to happen. I don't know exactly what he was going to ask Damnacio here, because he gets up and he's like, Damnacio, quickly, we need to... And then, zoop, and then that's when the moment everything goes a little hazy. Julius's body seems to twist and seems to, like, turn into, like, I don't know, mana itself. It just begins to, like, turn into magical energy and to begin to, like, reshape itself. Meanwhile, Julius's grimoire, the full power grimoire, the one that doesn't have covers to it, just the pages begin to float in front of them, and then that's when he just, like, boop, touches Damnacio's forehead, and Damnacio, he pulls up his scales. He's about to do some shit. He's just like, oh, I knew it! And then he gets frozen, so he can't do anything. And then at that moment, we see the proper grimoire of this new individual appear, and it is a spade grimoire, but it's a spade grimoire that has two spade symbols overlaid on each other, sort of resembling a clover, also sort of resembling a four-leaf clover, just inverted in a weird way. At this point, oh, God... Adramelech shows up at the window, and he's got Lucifero's heart with him and everything, and he's just like, yo, hey man, everything worked out just like you said it would. Lucius Zogratis. And then that's when Lucius turns around, and he looks remarkably like Julius, except he has black hair, and the star mark that was on one side of Julius's forehead is now on the opposite side on Lucius's forehead. He just looks super happy. He gives off pure light Yagami energy here. Appropriate, considering, well, actually, Damnacio is a member of the Kira family, which is the ruling family, so appropriate. We have Kira, and we have this dude looking like light, so everything's great. He just turns up, and he's like, he really should have just said, exactly as planned. It'll be like, oh, man, but no. He's like, it seems time is up. And I love that because it would be so fucking funny if Lucius Zogratis, the devil host of Astaroth, the devil of time, I keep wanting to say god of time, but devil of time, they're different, is just really into lame puns. That would be great. That would be hilarious, okay? It'd be like he's fighting Asta and Yuno, and he's just like, it seems Father Time is done with you, or time is up, or you've wasted your time. And just like, they're not even good puns. They're not even good. But that's part of his personality. I just love that. Okay. So, couple of things here. First of all, this was a great way to spin this. Now, it was already hinted at earlier in the arc that there was a fourth sibling. You know, there was another sibling. We saw his image sort of obscured. Like, I think it was Dante remembering him, or from Dante's perspective. And it was just this weird, like, staticky image where we couldn't really see their face. And Lucius purportedly was, like, in a wheelchair at this time. So, like, you know, maybe because being the god of time, or I keep saying god of time, being the devil of time or having time magic might be a situation where Astaroth's hosts can live like hundreds or thousands of years, maybe even longer, but maybe their bodies become so worn down they have to switch hosts that way. I'm not really sure how that would go, or because you are the devil of time, you could just reverse it, because we don't really know how this whole situation works, but we understand that Julius had no idea what was going on. Julius Novachrono is an actual person that really existed, that had his own life and his own ambitions and his own goals and own personality and everything like that. And it's just that maybe that was like, I saw some theories that were saying that maybe Julius was Lucius, when he was really young. And then maybe Lucius is like 700 years old or some shit. And it's just like he eventually turned evil as the centuries passed. And in order to go undercover, he regressed his own time back to when he was Julius in his like first life, let's say. His first life, when he still had time magic, but he was like a good person or whatever. But maybe like over the centuries, like if Julius, and if he really is Julius, like two sides of the same coin, like if Julius lived 100, 200, 300, 400 years, eventually he would go mad with power and become evil with time magic. Because Julius was somebody that was always interested in studying different types of rare magic. That was his, like, one of his, like, a little quirky character things. It's like, oh my god, you have dark magic, Yami? That's so cool. That was his character. So it's just, take that, like, sort of curiosity and interest he had in every type of magic, and is like, add on an extra 1,000 years of living on top of that, it might eventually turn into some messed up sort of just like, it's like every magic in the world, I will use it to dominate, like something like that, maybe. Okay, so that's one way to take it. Also, I just, listen, okay, like I said, I don't read Black Clover religiously. That's kind of a pun. But, I read it every week. I might be, skimming through some of the chapters or whatever, so in making this video, just to talk about this, I went back and just, like, wrote some stuff down, took some notes, refreshed my memory on some stuff that happened earlier. And as I'm writing down notes, and by the way, I have to really stop myself from going on a long tangent talking about, like, Astaroth in, like, actual, like, biblical teachings and the connection to, like, the Assyrians and everything like that. I really got to stop that because that will be a tangent that will never end. But just going beyond that, I'm writing everything down, and I guarantee I cannot be the first person that has come to this conclusion. Like, that there's no way that I am the first. But I realized it when I was writing all the names down. I'm like, wait a second. His name's Astaroth. A-S-T-A. Asta. He's Asta's dad, isn't he? And he has black hair. Lucius, as we see here. So Lucius could very well be Asta's father. Like I said, I guarantee I am not the first person to arrive at that conclusion. But we just got introduced to Asta's mother in the last arc. And it was Lieb, who is his, like, brother, basically. And that's, Asta and Lieb's relationship and, the mother and everything like that. So the father is still MIA here on what's up with that. So I think that's the situation we got there. So we got, like I said, and plus, we delved a lot into Yuno's family history in the last arc. We delved into Asta's too. We did both, but there's still a missing cog to all this, okay? There's still a missing cog. We know about Yuno's mom and dad, and we know about Asta's mom. Don't know about his dad. So this could be a thing, okay? Or maybe it doesn't make any sense, and maybe, like I just said, I missed something, because if there's any series that I'm going to miss something of, it's going to be this compared to, like, One Piece, for instance, okay? But anyway, I wanted to read this to you. Let's see here. This is from Tabata. If it were solely up to me, I would have pushed onwards without rest. No, Tabata. Take a rest. Chill out. Sleep. Go to the beach with your family. Go get some ice cream or something. I don't know. Take a break. It's okay. You're doing good, all right? However, after consulting with the editorial department, I will be taking a long break in order to draw the final arc's manuscript at my best. I'm sorry to all readers who look forward to this series every week. Black Clover is going to get even more exciting, and I promise to put forth all my strength and soul into finishing it properly. So I hope you can wait until it returns. Yes, we can, Tabata-sensei. You are fine. You are good. Take a break, okay? It's fine. In fact, I think, like I said, even if, like, Oda, entering the final saga of One Piece after Wano concludes, if Oda came out and said, hey, is it okay if I take, like, a 3-4 month break? I'd be like, yes, we'll be fine. We'll be okay. We'll make it work, okay? It'll be all right. Take a break. It's fine, right? This is like this is probably though I'm happy this is happening because up until this, and I'm really happy this is happening because I'm trying to think back to all of the hiatuses I've seen, like, in terms of a series, like, in between arcs, and Hunter x Hunter notwithstanding, because that's another situation. But I remember One Piece. When One Piece was during the time skip, Oda took a month break, like 4 or 5 weeks off, and I thought that was a big deal back then, and that was back in, like, 2010. And so here we are, though, in 2022, and I'm just like, I forgot what year it was for a second. I was going to say 2012 there for a second. I'm like, but whatever. It's nice that I think that Shueisha is starting to see that, like, okay, it's probably best we give mangakas more time to rest and recuperate, because it could be a very, very stressful job. We all know this. We've all read the horror stories about, how little, like, Oda sleeps and everything like that, which is why I'm glad they're giving Oda, like, a break every month. But that should really be extended to all mangakas in Shonen Jump. It shouldn't just be Oda because Oda is, the one that has One Piece and is the most popular manga. It really should be extended to all manga. Because, not to just hurry up, you gotta draw the manga, get it out as quick as possible. And I was like, no, it should be more acceptable for them to take breaks, okay? And so this is fine. We can wait. I think Tabata gave us enough stuff to theorize for the next 3 months or however long it takes. If it's a little bit longer than that, it's fine. I think we'll be okay. But anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on this. I think there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline here with Black Clover. This is going to be very, very interesting. If you want me to make more videos about this, I certainly can here on the side channel, so just let me know. Thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking signing out. Now I must go and fight the purple.